is it possible to lose fat and build muscle at the same time? See, I feel as though the term body recomposition is being thrown around a lot now, and it's usually by coaches that make you these crazy and wild promises that they'll be able to make you lose a lot of weight while sculpting this Greek godlike physique at the same time. But I guess the real question here is it possible? First off, let's start by setting the record straight. Losing a large amount of weight while putting on muscle is not impossible, but it's definitely not the norm for most people. So when we talk about something like body recomposition with something as drastic as losing 100 pounds, you're essentially asking your body to do two conflicting things, which are to shed fat and build muscle, which would be the equivalent of diving in two different directions. Difficult, but not impossible. Also, this is your sign that if you see someone holding a book on social media, not to necessarily trust them. I don't even know what this book is. So I guess that the question is, what helped me retain my muscles while I lost 150 pounds in a year? There's a few genetic factors and some lifestyle choices that probably had a hand in play here. First off, we're gonna start by genetic factors. I will eventually make a much longer video on this, but we're gonna start with myostatin inhibition. So some people will just genetically hold on to muscle better than others while they're doing their fat loss journeys. And in your body, there is a protein called myostatin that actually stops the growth of muscles. So if you have some sort of genetic mutation that actually lowers those myostatin levels, you could have a much easier time holding onto muscle during a fat loss phase. And I honestly think I might have some sort of mutation there. Another one are called beta adrenergic receptor variations. And this one will control how your body will actually burn fat. So if you have some of these receptors that are actually responding better, your body will be more efficient at using fat as fuel, making it a hell of a lot easier to lose weight. And lastly, we have the MC4R gene. And this one affects appetite regulation. So some people will have the variations where they will feel fuller much faster and for a longer period of time, which can make following a diet or just losing fat much easier. It's essentially what a GLP-1 will do. But on the flip side, some people could have a variation where they are never really satiated and they're always hungry, which of course would make following a very strict deficit of a diet incredibly harder. So one day I would actually love to go do a full genetic panel. Let me know if you guys would like to see that in the comments. If there's enough interest, then I'll make it happen. Because I think at this point we can agree that my results aren't necessarily normal. And like Thor said,
you clearly have the genetics, you know. If you do some testing on yourself, you clearly have like a really good genes getting fat off you and building proper muscles.
Now, another factor that can actually play a large role in your ability to retain muscle during fat loss is if you have a higher natural muscle mass. Now, this is a picture of me when I was 19 years old. And as you can see, of course, there was already a lot of muscle mass there, which means that my body was able to burn more calories just by itself. And this is really where strength training and gym time really comes in handy, especially while you're big, trying to lose the weight. Because if you can start developing your muscles under all that weight, it's only going to increase the amount of calories that you burn just from being alive. Here's a big one, your hormones. Maintaining your muscle mass during a weight loss will very much be impacted by your hormones. And if you go into a very large deficit for a long period of time or a crash diet, your testosterone levels will end up dropping. And when your testosterone levels drop, this can actually lead to muscle tissue breakdown. And so that's why for the average person who isn't on any sort of testosterone supplementation, a rapid weight loss will usually come with a substantial amount of muscle tissue loss. Now, of course, I was on TRT due to the fact that my cherries don't work anymore, but we're gonna cover that later. Bringing us to, why is this so hard for the normal person? Simply because of the fact that it's going to depend on how your body and your hormones react to your body being in a very large deficit. When you cut your calories drastically, your body is going to start to think that it's in this starvation mode. And in that case, your testosterone levels will drop and your cortisol levels will increase. And at this point, your body will start holding onto fat and actually start burning muscle, simply because of the fact that muscle is a much better energy source than fat. And then on top of that, crash dieting can actually affect your thyroid glands and your metabolism as a whole. And that can obviously lead to much harsher consequences for somebody that was just trying to lose some weight. So at the end of the day, trying to lose something like 100 pounds while gaining a lot of muscle is kind of like winning the lottery. It's possible, but the odds definitely aren't in your favor. And now, since we know that it's not impossible, let's look at some of the better approaches to be able to get these results. Before you do, we are trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's a bold goal, but I think it's possible if we actually end up winning Summer Shredding.
We
We already did it once, we can do it again. If you're still here, let me know in the comments if there's anything that you would like for me to make a video on, because I would love to hear it. But let's get back to the different methods, starting with number 1, carb cycling. Now, this is a method of going from high carb to low carb days, which is exactly what I've been doing for the last 6 months. So this is a way during your high days to give your body the carbs that it requires to train really hard and protect the muscle, but then on your rest days or your lower intensity days, have lower carbs so that your body then starts utilizing fat as an energy source. This plays a large part in not plateauing during your weight loss, but also to the recovery of your muscle tissue, which is essential when trying to protect them. Coming at number 2, which would be a high protein diet. Obviously, upping your protein during a calorie deficit will increase your chance of retaining and even perhaps building muscle. You'll want to have between 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. Now, this won't magically help you build muscle, but at least it'll make you hang on to what you got. And then we have reverse dieting. Now, this method, very crucial, is to slowly increase the amount of calories that you're having after being in a large deficit for a long period of time. What this will do is that it's going to minimize your fat gain while you'll actually be able to start building a little bit of muscle tissue because you're going to be going higher in calories. Also, it's going to boost your metabolism and sort of reset your body after being in a deficit for way too long, compared to just absolutely shocking it by going from a cut directly to a bulk. And then one of the ones that I put a lot of emphasis on during my entire journey was the nutrient timing. And this is why I was using alarms on my phone to remind myself to eat at what times. Now, the important things about this was the fact that I was having a lot of my carbs and some protein right before my workouts to make sure that I could perform at peak efficiency. And obviously this would fuel muscle growth and recovery. It's really about optimizing at what times you're eating what meals, without having to go in some crazy restrictive eating pattern like intermittent fasting, which is probably one of the worst things for muscle building. And then we have peptides. Some peptides like IGF-1 have such a large potential to create an anabolic space within your body to promote muscle growth even during a deficit. Or other ones like testosterone can actually increase your body's recovery and HGH production so much that it can not only protect your muscle from being lost during the deficit, but actually even perhaps promote its growth. And then you have some other ones and some combos like the NAD Plus and 5-amino 1MQ combination that have similar effects, but the way that they burn fat is by making sure that your body utilizes fat as an energy source instead of muscle. And then of course we're gonna have the refeed days and the diet breaks, which is introducing days where you can hyper-supplement your body with nutrients and healthy foods to make sure that your hormone production isn't impaired, which will obviously play a very large part, like we spoke earlier, in muscle retention. And now, obviously, as much as I hate talking about this as much, we have anabolics. And these will obviously help in this circumstance because if you're blasting enough gear, you will still be able to actually build a substantial amount of muscle while in a heavy deficit. Then it really comes to the question of give and take. Why are you trying to lose weight and gain years on your life if you're going to be decreasing it afterwards by using these potentially very dangerous drugs that can not only hurt you in the short term, but also in the long term of the back nine of your life? And instead, this is why I think that you should prioritize on setting some healthier goals. Let's be very honest with each other here. A much better, much more feasible goal would be for you to aim to lose the weight first and then build the muscle, especially knowing how your body will be in its peak anabolic zone between that 8 to 12% body fat. So what you should do is cut first, bulk later. And here's why this works so well. After a long period of cutting, your insulin sensitivity will be through the roof. So this means that your body will be in this sort of perfect anabolic window where it's just gonna wanna suck up every single nutrient that comes its way and put them directly into muscle building. Think of it as sort of like priming the soil before a farmer plants his seeds. So the better that you prep your soil or your body, the faster that you'll get your results or muscle growth. And now, like I said I would, I'm gonna talk about my TRT and my muscle retention and how those two play a part together. Because like I said from the beginning, I will always be transparent, and this is not something that we can just not talk about. So yes, the fact that I was on testosterone replacement therapy meant that my testosterone levels essentially stayed stable throughout my entire weight loss, which obviously played a large factor in the fact that I was able to retain my muscle and not lose a lot of it. Although I did lose about 30 pounds of lean muscle mass throughout my entire weight loss journey. But the downside of this is that I don't produce testosterone naturally anymore. I have a pretty decent case of erectile dysfunction, and my sperm count is non-existent. So would I have rather had these big muscles or normal working testicles, we're gonna go for that one. Now, of course, it's not a magic solution, and you should obviously only be doing this if required, because there can be some very, very horrible side effects or consequences to doing it without medical supervision. And so for the bottom line, look, there's no one-size-fits-all answer here. Losing a substantial amount of weight while gaining muscle is a very complex task that is not suited for everybody. And regardless of the process of your genetics, of your predisposition, it's still going to require a metric shit ton of dedication, consistency, and drive. And obviously then if you can sprinkle some little discipline on there and some hormonal support, obviously that can help. But at the end of the day, always remember why you are embarking on this journey in the first place, and that the reason should be health and to change your identity into becoming the person that naturally wants to remain at a healthier weight. So appreciate the fact that this is going to be a long game and that you're going to learn a lot about how your body works and how it responds to things. And then as you figure out what works for you, start abusing it till you get the results that you want. And with that, hope you guys have a good day.